All right, let's talk about how to create a Claude skill. And this is really exciting for me because if you've been following along with my AI specific content, so often I've been talking about how do we take what we're doing and infuse ourselves into it strategically, but specifically in a way where we're like writing more content that's better. And that is so useful and that is so valuable. And hopefully, if you've been following along and you've downloaded the workbook and you've started implementing that stuff, you already have started to feel and see the difference in how much time is taken off your plate and how much more powerful the output is. But this is where we take it a step further. And this is where the rubber really starts to hit the road. So, yes. So far, what we've been talking about is very much how to create more and create more that sounds like you. Is the shift that we're making here is that we're now training our AI tools how to think like us, which, like, I know it scares me too a little bit, but also, like, the world is moving this way. Let's learn how to work with it before we get like left behind by it. So, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm walking you through a real life example of a skill that I created. The first skill that I created, to be honest, because it's just something that's been going on in the agency right now. And so, first thing to talk about is how did I know when it was the time to kind of move from just writing better content or using a custom GPT or a Claude project to write better versus like what we're doing now? The catalyst that I knew it was time to turn this into an actual skill was because right now at my agency, most of our clients have hired us to do their social media. So it's a lot of me taking our same strategy, like we do approach social media the same way, um, at a high, like a 50,000 foot strategic level. And then from there, that's when we infuse each client's individual special sauce, uniqueness, goals, audience, like all of that stuff. We infuse it into that. So we have this overarching umbrella that doesn't change whether I'm doing my own social media for the agency, whether I'm working on a client or anything like that. So knowing that I needed something that was going to work across all areas of the business, all clients, I needed to create that umbrella. Whereas in projects, I could have made a social media project I still implemented all that same strategy, thinking how we do things, examples, all of that stuff. But then you can only use it within the confines of this project. Whereas the skill can work across all your chats, all your projects, Claude Cowork if you're using it. So it's more of that, like it infuses into all areas of what you're doing more impactfully. So that's how I knew it was time to do it. And then I actually had to do it. So that's what we're going to kind of be walking you through on this. And I'm going to be walking you through a real life example. So I want to first show you, I'm going to kind of retroactively, like I'm not going to work through it real time, but I'm going to show you exactly what I did. And then I actually have to do one of my clients' next round of social media, their content. So I'm going to actually show you how it works. First things first, let me share my screen. Okay, so I am in Claude. And so the first things first, if I were to, I can actually go in and show you. I will say the way that I did this versus the way that I would do it a second time for my next skill is not the same. So I first came in here and you can see everything that I've been working on. Social media, okay, creating a skill. So what I did was I literally went through and I dumped everything in my brain out into here. So I went through and I explained, here's how we think about social media. Here's how we map it to buyer psychology. Here's the percentage of what we're doing at each phase of the journey and where they are mentally and in that like I said, the buyer psychology piece of like which parts do we need to be talking to when, so that we can then create a well-rounded social media strategy. And then in addition to that, I also talked about some deliverables because like some clients are on like 3 posts a week, some are on 5, like one is on daily. So in addition to the strategy, I also created, let me come here and show you these. Not that. This is how we deliver stuff to our clients. So like at the top, if we're not actually going in and capturing content, we give them a shot list. Then we start to outline the in-feed work and the story that supports it. And so you can see in here this is a templated version with some instructions to Claude into it of like how we're using it in addition to everything that I trained it on earlier. And that's all outlined in here and very, very long of like So you can see like all these documents of like how we're thinking about content and how we're using different content types and all of that stuff. So again, if I were to do this differently, I would actually do it in Cowork. And you can see that I actually like then came in here and did it. So what this did for me though was it first built the kind of the skill. And the reason that I say that I wouldn't do it this way again, but I'm just showing you kind of everything that went into it and why I would do it in here is because I then had to going from chat to a skill, like you can't do that, but going from Cowork, it can actually build the skill for you. So what I then did is if I come into Cowork and this was the create the social media skill, you can see that I said, hey, I already created this skill. Can you now help me like actually implement it into everything that we're doing? And so it just literally runs for you and it goes through and it tests everything and it does everything that you need to do and it actually builds it for you so that you can just download it. So, and it also tested that's what these are. So basically, what you get out of all of this from you dumping your brain and training it is you walk away with a skill. You can see it right there. Doesn't look that exciting, but that's my skill right there. And that is everything that I have dumped into here. So, very practically, what that looks like is it's just this and this. And so you walk away with that. Now, how do we implement that? How do we actually put that into Claude and make it our own skills? If you just come in here, you are at your like main page, you want to come here. Let's say that this was like not out just yet. So just in case you come here, you come to customize and then you want to go to skills. Actually, first thing you want to do is you want to come in here, make sure like anything that would be connected is connected. So like if you're also then having it create things in Canva, you're doing that. If you're putting it through Zapier, like these are some of the things that I had it connected to, you actually go through and you just make sure that they're connected. Then you come to skills and you should probably already have skill connector. Yours might be turned off. You'll first want to turn it on. The second thing you'll want to do, which I didn't have and you'll want to make sure you have is you're going to come in and upload this DBS framework because mine's already uploaded. I'm not going to show you how to do it, but like you would just come here, you go to create skill, upload a skill, DBS framework. I grabbed this from somewhere. I'll drop the link from where I grabbed it. It's just download, upload, as easy as that. Once that's in there, this thing that you had in here, the social media skill, you're going to come back, do it again. You'll see that I have mine in here, but come here, create skill, upload skill. I'm not going to do it fully right now because it's already in there, but you would just copy and paste as you can see because it's the same exact name. It's asking if you want me to replace it. I'm not going to, but if I didn't already have this in there, you just hit upload, nothing else, and it's like ready to go. So now we have the skill. And I know this might maybe sound a little bit confusing because I'm not actually working through it live. So I will make sure to actually record the next time that I'm building out a skill in real time so that you can supplement this video with that. But let's show you how we use it. So a couple things that I have just to save some time is I already kind of wrote the prompt. Okay, so now let's actually put the skill to use so that you can see how powerful this is and how helpful this is. So I already have my prompt ready to go, including like what the updates were from last week based off what the client wanted, what's happening this week, what we're focused on. In addition to that, we are working in the project that I built for the client in Claude Code. I'm going to just stay in the same thread, but I'll show you how I would do it if I was starting a new chat within the project. But I already trained the project on this specific client as well. So it knows their tone, their goals, what we're doing for them, what the phased approach is, all of that. So it is marrying everything that I've trained it on for the client itself with how we handle social media as a whole so that it can infuse the client into our overarching social media strategy. So with that, if I were to start fresh, I'd come here and let me expand this really quickly. I think projects, I'd come to projects over here and this is the client. So I would just start and I'm going to okay, so now let me show you how we actually do it. So you come here, we're going to go to projects. This is the client. I could start totally fresh and I could say like, hey, I'm ready to do week 2. And that's totally fine because it already is like trained on everything, but I'm just going to stay in here because there was some back and forth. So this was the last chat that I had within their project. I'm just going to come back in here and I'm going to say, I'm going to copy all this in. I did that because I've realized that any time that I type on here, I waste a lot of time. The other thing that I'm going to do is I actually downloaded, like I said, what was the how did the client edit the feedback or edit the content so that we can actually like continue to keep it in the on brand voice. The one thing that I want to show you in here, this is how you actually know to, or this is how Claude knows how to call the skill. You're just going to backslash. And let's say you had a million, you would just start typing it out. But because I don't, I just know that it's social media. And you'll know that it worked because it then is blue, social media. This is everything else that is going into it. I also always do ask, you have any other questions before I ask you to get going? Because I want to make sure that it's as clear as possible, but I'm going to hit it. It's going to do its thing. My Claude has been, let's see what's going on here. I don't know what that was. 12 could not be resent. Okay, so I just resubmitted it. It's reading everything, it's running the command, it's running the skill, it's doing its thing. And you can see it knows the client's name. And it's just gonna start going. So this is one thing. I'm gonna read through this really quickly. Okay, but all that to say, so it gave me some context, it gave me some thoughts. I read through it really quickly. It all makes sense. This all makes sense to me. And then it is actually delivering based off of everything that we asked for. Okay, so this is actually like where it went through and just kind of said everything that it's going to do, which would be fine. But like, I don't want to deliver it like that. So one piece that I did give it was the template, the template that you saw earlier of what exactly I want it to look like. So now it's going to take all of that and it's going to actually build it into the template where I can then go through and actually validate it again, not just at a quick glance, but in there, it's going to really walk through the rationality, the reasoning, how it maps back to the strategy, the SEO, searchability, all of that stuff that goes into it. And then I could validate it, make sure that it works, make sure that's on brand, make sure that's going to work for the client, clean it up, get it client facing, and then send it over to them. So I'm going to stop talking while this builds out the document and then we'll go from there. All right. So as you can see, now it's actually taking everything that was over here. It's building out the document in the similar, not perfect format that we want. And like I said, this is where I can either download it as a Word doc, I can open it in my Drive and start to actually validate it, clean it up, make sure that it's perfect and deliver it to the client. But the key is here that it starts with, again, like I said, us dumping our brain, our strategy, our experience that we know works into everything to build the skill. And then also starting from that like real brain centric place, not just letting it run on its own, keeping us in the process, keeping us in the mix to make sure that it's not going rogue, it's not hallucinating, so that we can actually put it to use. The next step, eventually, like we'll get there, and I'll be creating content about this, is actually like fully creating everything, but we're going to keep it simple. We're just going to focus on the skill right now. But this was how I built a Claude skill for our social media to manage and handle all of our clients so that I can just take the pressure off my plate, my team's plate, and we can just kind of keep it moving. So I hope that helped. If you have any questions, leave them below and we'll make sure to answer them.